Hi everyone, my name is Falguni. I'm 30 years old and I've done a lot of different interesting things in my life. I'm here to share some of the interesting things I've done and what I've learned from them. So, when I was a kid, I went to boarding school, which is a very interesting experience any kid can have. After boarding school, and even when I was a kid, my mom would make me get summer jobs. So, I started working when I was 10 years old. Every summer, I did something. So that also helps you learn a lot. Some adults would always ask me, what do you want to do when you grow up? I'd always say, I want to direct films. Now, I don't think a kid understands what directing films means, but I was obsessed with movies. I wanted to make them, be in them. I wanted to be really famous. I wanted to win a lot of awards, but yeah, that happened. So at some point in my teens, I realized, okay, I'm not director material because I think directors are way more creative than I am, and you have some crazy creative gene that's required to be a director. Okay, so I can't be a director. What else can I do? I have to make films. So I pivoted and I thought, let me be a producer. So producer also makes films. So I went to film school. In film school, you meet a lot of interesting people, a lot of young people, a lot of people obsessed with films, and it creates a wonderful ecosystem. So, a college is an experience that actually creates an ecosystem for us. I don't think your professors and your college people will agree with me when I say this, but you actually learn everything you learn when you're working and when you're doing things. So, that's what college was for me, film school was for me. I did all sorts of gigs that I could do. I made corporate films, I made ads, I did a lot of free stuff when I'm young. So I did ads for NGOs. I clicked pictures of spice for packets and chicken for product catalogs. I did everything. And then when I finished, I was like, okay, wait, I have to start making films. That's what I got into this in the first place for. So I sneakily got a job at a really big production house, which is one of India's biggest production houses. And I was 23 when I got this job, and it was really exciting. What they assigned me to work on was crazy for a 23-year-old. It's a 100 crore Netflix series that was a Bahubali prequel. This was in 2018. So imagine you're 23, you're working for the first time, and it's something so big, so massive. Scale is insane. You have, you put one hand, there's a talented person. So talented people everywhere. There's a big star cast. I got to travel to insane places. There's a lot of places in our country that you can't go as a tourist, but you can just go if you want to shoot something. So I traveled a lot. I worked really hard and I soaked it all in. I didn't really mind that I had no work life balance. I didn't mind that you have all in, have to, work your butt off. I felt really lucky that I got to do something like this in the first place. So now you can imagine what my life was like. It was extremely busy. I was I was a kid. I was doing dumb things before I got this job. And I'm still a kid and I'm still doing dumb things. But now I had some responsibilities. And when you have responsibility, you kind of have to straighten your socks and you have to, get into it and you have to, work your 100%. And I didn't mind doing that. Our work environment was very wholesome. It was very, um, you can't beat it. Actually, that work experience is something that I can't beat and it stays as a benchmark. And I don't think I'll ever do anything that interesting ever again. So I made a lot of friends. I made a lot of friends with people my age, with big technicians, big actors. Uh, and that sort of a life was amazing. We had a lot of 24-hour days, 48-hour. So when you're in films, it's a very demanding sort of work. You don't get a life for yourself. This one particular shoot schedule, I remember, we were shooting in Ramoji Film City, and you get there about 2 days before you start shooting, so you have to prep. And we would every day from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. Now 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. doesn't mean you stop working at 10 p.m. and you start only at 6 a.m. You kind of have to work all around the clock. The minute you're awake, you're working. If you get a call while you're sleeping, you have to pick it up. You get a task, you have to do it. So we did that sort of a schedule for about 10 to 15 days straight. And you imagine the kind of trauma, I would say now, when I look back, but you imagine the kind of trauma it puts on your body and your mind to be so all in and so 100% on something. And it's actually not something you have ownership over that way. I mean, yes, ownership because it's your project, your thing to do. But you have to be really passionate about something when you're going all into it. And we were all very passionate. Maybe it's because we were young, and when you're young, you actually do a lot of stuff. And you have a lot of energy and you go for it. Or maybe it's because we were really stubborn, or maybe we wanted to prove something. But we were all in. So, like I was saying, this is a kind of a job where you have no work-life balance. And you can really, really thrive when you're doing something you enjoy. You can really thrive. But if it is something that also stresses you out, you can crash just like that. And as it often happens in work environments where there are a lot of young people, you have a lot of seniors. Now, come on, there's 10 young people ready to do anything you want. So, one is running around and doing this, one is running around and doing that. And all of the seniors at your work can also take you for granted. They can be really flippant with comments. So someone can say, you don't know how to work, you're dumb, you have to be smarter. And this is some comment a lot of you girls will also get. I heard from this one old timer at my office, and I'm saying this in Telugu, so you all get, like, of course, everybody knows Telugu in this room. But he said, Niki pani endukamma, pelli chesko elli. And this is something a lot of you girls will get at some point. People are sexist, but they don't really mean to be, but they are. So I started getting a lot of negativity. I heard a lot of, oh, you don't do things well, or you're not working smartly, or you're doing things stupidly. But along with the negativity, you also get a lot of positivity. And there are a lot of nice people who appreciate you for everything that you're doing. So I was told on the positive end that I work really well, I make a great work environment for everybody, I work smartly, and that I'm not, running around dumbly doing things. A lot of positive things. In fact, one incident that I can, talk about is I was working on something for Hotstar, and there are a lot of senior actors on this project. So people with 30 years of experience, proper film people that were working even before I was born. So we're waiting for our shot. It's getting set up, and we're waiting there, and I'm talking to all of the actors that are there. And this sir was like, Falguni, I want to pitch some non-fiction stuff to OTTs. So how do I go about it? What can I do? And I'm thinking, wait, this man is way more older than me. He's got so much experience. So how is he asking me this? Like, how am I even qualified to give him advice? And I said, yeah, sir, absolutely, I can help you out with this. And I did. So every day we would work on pitch documents for him to go pitch it to, say, an AHA or a Hotstar or a Prime Video. And it created such a positive energy for me. You have to focus on positivity. Now, positivity is something that's rarely given to you. You'll all get compliments, but you'll get fewer compliments than all of the negative stuff that's said to you. So someone can say, okay, you don't know stuff. You're like, stupid, what are you doing? But it's up to us to, sort of focus on the positivity. Because if you stick to the negativity, it starts creating self-doubt in your own and your own body and your heart. Got positive comments, but I was focusing on all of the negative comments I got. So it started creating a lot of self-doubt in me. And I started questioning my self-worth at this point. Am I really smart? Do I know what I'm doing? Mentally, you start questioning your self-worth way too much. And this is something a lot of young people have. And you're all just gonna get into the workforce now. So in my 20s, I had a big imposter syndrome. So I used to feel like I'm a faker, I'm a fraud, I don't know anything. Why am I here? You're pretending everybody else is a lot smarter than you. So like, what am I even doing here? Why do I belong here? And when you get into that loop, you start overworking, you start overdoing things just to prove your point, just to prove your worth. You start seeking validation from people. And that's a very dangerous place to get into. You can't seek validation from people because if you're placing self-worth in other people's opinions, if they start saying even a small little thing, it's going to cut you, it's going to make you feel worse, it's going to make you feel terrible. And you just get into an endless loop of self-doubt, self-criticism, self-hatred, and it's super unnecessary. So I went along like this. I worked, I tried to prove myself. But at some point, I crashed out. I was 26. I wrapped up shooting one day. I got in the car and I started crying. And I was crying and I was crying. And I didn't understand why I was crying in the first place. But I kind of realized, okay, I'm having a mental breakdown. A mental breakdown is really cruel to yourself. You don't have to be cruel to yourself. You can always seek help, and everybody is willing to help you. You have to seek help in the right places. I have a lot of good people around me. I have a lot of good friends around me. My parents are really supportive. But you have to seek some external help from people that are not close to you, so you have an objective voice. So I went to a therapist, and my therapist gave me a lot of tools to sort of help myself and figure myself out. And she said something to me that's really, really interesting, and it's something all of you can also try. So she said, whenever you're getting into like a loop of self-doubt, you have to firstly calm down and start thinking of all the positive things that someone has said to you. And everybody has had positive things said to them. You'll always remember praise, right? You'll never forget it. So you have a moment where you're like, okay, I'm shitty at what I'm doing. So immediately stop yourself and say, no, wait, I'm good. This person has said I'm good. He gave me this compliment. She gave me this compliment. In fact, to go a step further, instead of just, remembering all of the positive things, put yourself in the shoes of somebody that thinks really well of you. So you all have somebody that really likes you or really admires you. In fact, even better, put yourself into the shoes of, say, your crush or someone who has a crush on you, or like your boyfriend. I'm sure you all have a boyfriend. So put yourself into the shoes of somebody that thinks really well of you and picture yourself from their perspective. So how well is it that someone that admires you looks at you? Once you start looking at yourself from somebody else's perspective, you realize, okay, that is not the only dimension to me. The negative is not the only thing. There's so many other positive things that also make me me. And that is sort of the kind of tone that you have to continue with, and the kind of focus that you have to, put on just yourself. And you have to actively work on getting rid of your self-doubt. So I started doing this, and within 1 year, I went from a mental breakdown to getting my first solo show that I was in charge of. And I'm only 26, which is very young to get your own solo show. So I felt this is an amazing opportunity. It's like a big break for me. And I did everything I could do on that show. I budgeted it, I scheduled it, I was there for shooting every single day. I remember we made a fake graveyard and I was painting graves on that set. I took care of post production. I learned how, VFX happens, how post sound happens. I even did dubbing for little bit characters. I changed my voice and I did dubbing for a lot of different characters. So it was a really wonderful, interesting experience. Um, but here's the thing, I'm still learning, right? I'm still learning on how to work on my self doubt. So at times I'd freak out. And when you freak out, you're like all over the place. So who do I go to? I go to my boss. My boss is wonderful. His name is Shobhu sir. So I'd go to Shobhu sir and I'd freak out. And every time I went to him with a problem, these are all like, I would imagine they're big problems, but these are things that he's, been a producer, he's worked on Bahubali, it's a small thing for him. So he'd tell me, calm down and sit down. I'm not going to help you. I want you to calm down and think about this, and you will get the solution, and you'll do it yourself. So I went to him about 3-4 times, and then after that, I felt like, okay, he's not going to give me a solution, so no point. Let me do this myself. And I did. And it actually started working. And somehow I was able to, create solutions, and I did it. It's like there is some work muscles in me that I didn't know I had, and I was exercising them and I was building them. And I was like really surprising myself with my own resilience in doing something that I was so mentally caught up in with, everybody's doubts and everybody's questions. And I put it aside and I did it. So I really surprised myself. And when the show came out a couple of months later, and we had our release events and we had, the premiere and all of that, even the platform that it came out on, all of those people, they were like, okay, we couldn't have done this show without this girl. And you get public recognition on such a scale, and everybody is saying the same thing, like, couldn't have happened without her. So how good does that make one person feel? These sorts of things are really important for you to work on your self-doubt. When you recognize you have it, and you persevere with it, and you push it aside, and you replace that negative thought in your brain with something positive, you can absolutely do anything you want to do. So that's all I'll say. I did a lot of work. It wasn't groundbreaking in terms of what I did. I'm sure a lot of you won't find it really interesting also. But it felt groundbreaking for me, and that's what happens for you. You may do a lot of work in your life, and it may not seem really interesting to other people, but if you give 100% to it, and if you feel like you've overcome some personal hurdles, or some voice in your head that's just beating you down and you overcome it, you start to feel amazing. I'd say there's 3 things you can do to sort of not mess with your mind and improve your own inner voice, which is work on your opinion of yourself, your self-confidence, and your perception of what others think of you. And your perception of what others think of you is really important. If you can get these 3 things to be in a positive way, or even a neutral way, it doesn't have to be positive. You don't have to self-hate yourself. But if you can get these 3 things to be in a positive or a neutral place, which is your opinion of yourself, your self-confidence, and your perception of what others think of you, you can conquer your own mind and you can literally do anything. But self-doubt is not something that you fix one time and it, goes away. You kind of have to keep working on it. So when I work with somebody new, when I work on some new project, it's a lot of new people. I again go into one little loop of, okay, wait, what do they think of me? Do they think I'm working well? Do they think I suck? And it slowly becomes a loop. So then you have to catch yourself again before you let it get horrible. And when you catch yourself again, you have to build yourself up. You have to not let yourself get to a terrible place. And that's it. I think you'll be golden and good to go for the rest of your life. Before this talk, I was so nervous. I was like freaking out, and I practiced this last night. I even wrote cue cards for myself so I don't ramble and say whatever. So I had to pep myself up before I came here. Uh, all young girls here, right? So anyone loves Taylor Swift? You can say, yeah, you don't have to be shy. She's amazing. So yeah, so I put on some Taylor Swift in the car. I put it on my earphones. I heard a couple of songs that make you feel amazing. She really does make you feel like a girl boss, right? Yes. So I put on some Taylor Swift. I felt amazing. I came here and I'm done and I don't feel nervous at all. So all of my self-doubt that I had, I just had to think about it. It's gone out of my brain. So that's all, guys. This is kind of what I've learned in my life. And I'd say all of your self doubt, all of your questions about yourself, all of your self hate, it's all in your head. And frankly, if you feel like people don't like you or they think badly of you, 99% of the time, people don't really care. And they don't have time to think about you in the first place. They're all bothered about their own self. I'm sure you can all see this even in college. You feel like somebody is saying something badly about you, but they're not. And if somebody is really negative, and if they're hating on you, and if they're making it a point to like talk about you and make it horrible for you, do you really care about such people then? You shouldn't, right? So that's about it. What matters most is your relationship with yourself. That's the only relationship you'll have from birth to death. And that's the one thing you must protect and take care of and nurture and constantly work on so you're in the best place possible. And I'll say this, you have to own your own story, you have to reclaim your own story, your own power. And if everything else fails, and if you're in a bad spot, put on some Taylor Swift, feel amazing, stand tall, feel like the main character, and you'll own everything. So I hope you guys had a good day so far and enjoy the rest of our lovely speakers talk, and see you all around. I'm here to talk.